I want to talk to you about the best way how you can exchange your money to really get the most out of your money whenever you exchange it, and at the same time look how you can send money internationally around the world for the lowest possible fee out there. Now granted, there are a lot of players out there offering that, and I can't possibly cover every single one of them in this video, and that's why I want to focus on two of the most popular players out there, which are Revolut and Wise. Both of them have been around for many years and really have a solid reputation and have been doing extremely well over the years. Now, full disclosure, I've been using Revolut for many years myself. I loved it. I use it for exchanging my money and sending it abroad. And in the past, making this video would have been very quick because I would have told you, just get Revolut. However, having recently compared the two once again, I came across some quite big surprises, and in the end of the video I'm going to recommend you which of the two is best for whom, in which circumstances. It really depends on your situation, but rest assured either of those two is definitely going to be hands down way better than using your normal bank to exchange money, which most likely going to charge you a fortune and give you a way worse exchange rate. And if you send money with them internationally, you're also going to pay a huge premium for that. So either of those are going to be better. Which of the two is the better one? Let's find out. So I'm assuming when you watch this video, you already probably heard about either of those apps. I've done multiple videos on the topic of Revolut. As I said, I've used it for many years myself. I'm currently on the Ultra plan, and I'll come back to this later on because that actually makes a difference depending on which plan you're on. You can go over here to compare your plans, as it shows over here, and then you have different plans. Now, yes, they do have a free plan as well, but it's rather limited actually. And then, you can pay a monthly fee to get a higher plan, but also more benefits. With Wise, on the other hand, you don't actually have any plan. There's only one plan that's free for all, and you just pay a very transparent fee, depending on what you want to do. So they don't really have any pro versions or what have you. Both of them also have a business part to it, Revolut Business and Wise Business, if you use it for business purposes. But on the personal plan, Wise only has one plan, which is free of charge. There's no monthly subscription, which obviously appeals to a lot of people. So if we wanted to compare apple to apple, we should really compare Wise plan to the Revolut standard plan, the free plan, right? Because otherwise, it's not really fair to compare the two. So let's look at the actual exchange rate. And I really like both of them have on their website a calculator, so you can go in there and run those numbers for yourself. And I always recommend that before you do any larger transfer, always go in there and see which one has the best currency exchange rate. Because in the past, some days one was better than the other. But yeah, now having done it the last few days, actually, you will see one turned out significantly better than the other. So let's start off with Wise. You can just go into the currency converter, and then you can just look for the amount that you're trying to exchange, and you'll see how much that would be. So let's take a few examples, different currencies, and see who comes out on top. So in my case, I want to exchange some euros. So let's say 5,000 euros, exchange it to dollars. And then in this case, you can see with Wise, I'll be getting $5,363. So with this, let's head over right away to Revolut, because obviously, exchange rate fluctuates. So you want to do it right away to compare it apple to apple. So you can see on revolut.com/currency converter. You can also do the same. In this case, I want to select my 5,000 euros and to exchange to US dollars. And here I will see I'll be getting 5,352. So that's actually $11 less. 5,363 minus 5,352, that's $11 less that I'll be getting with Revolut than with Wise. So obviously the larger the numbers, the bigger the deviation. But yeah, $11 less just for exchanging it. Yeah, that's quite an amount if you think about it, right? So in this case, honestly, in the past, I would always blindly go for Revolut, but it seems here, in this case, it's really not the best. So honestly, that's really something to keep in mind if you do larger exchanges. One thing to note though, you will see here, the exchange rate is fairly similar, 1.0705 versus 1.0073. However, so the problem with the exchange rate, it used to be real mid-market rate, what is currently in the market. So that's basically what Wise is charging. That's the mid-market exchange rate at that particular time when I did the exchange. If you Google it, for example, that's the real rate that's currently in the markets. That's the rate it's going for, the conversion from euro to dollar. Now that obviously changed, similar to stocks, that's very dynamic. While Revolut also used to extend the mid-market rate, now they give their Revolut specific rate. In this case, it's not exactly 100% the mid-market rate. So yeah, that's why you have to always double check, because sometimes, as I said, it can work out better, but sometimes it turns out actually worse than the mid-market rate. So I think it's really important to look into this. And one thing you will see over here are the additional fees, which are actually really substantial. And you can see that's a significant amount, 38 euros for the exchange. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling. That's because you are here on the free plan. So obviously we're considering apple to apple, free plan versus Wise free plan, because they only have one plan. So if I go back into the plan details over here, you will see the currency exchange with no additional fees, Monday to Friday, is only up to £1,000 or the equivalent euros, depending on which page you're in. But obviously anything above that will incur the fee, and that's the fee we saw over there. If you were, of course, on one of the higher plans, for example, premium, Metal, or Ultra, there would be no fair usage limit, so you could exchange 20,000 a month and there wouldn't be any additional fees. Then it would be much more neck to neck between the two. So let's find out. If we just lower the amount, we go to 1,000 euros versus 1,000 euros, so we shouldn't have the fee, right? Let's go into here and we'll see we'll be getting $1,072 versus $1,070. So still, Revolut is actually worse than Wise, only by $2 in this case, but at least there's no fee. So you really want to be very conscious. If you exchange a lot of money, then definitely it makes sense to upgrade for the Revolut plan. But keep in mind, that means you also pay on top, right? So you have to factor that in to your total return. If you only exchange a big amount once a quarter or once a year, then it may not make sense for you to pay for a Revolut plan. If you do this every month and it's a larger amount, then obviously, it might be becoming more attractive. Let's try another example into something more exotic. Let's take the good old British pound and convert it into Polish zloty. Let's try to stay under the limit. So let's take 1,000 pounds into Polish zloty, 5,031 zlotys. If I head over to Wise and do the same calculation, 1,000 pounds into zlotys, once again, it's 5,046 zlotys. So that's 15 slots more than I would get with Revolut. So once again, they actually won. If I put a larger amount, let's say 5,000 pounds, you will see once again the additional fee of 40 pounds. So that's an absolute killer. So it might actually make sense just if you really want to go with Revolut for that particular month to upgrade for a higher plan, because 40 pounds is a crazy amount that you would be paying. So if I head over to Wise once again, put 5,000 pounds into here, and I'll be getting 25,232 versus 25,158. So really becoming a major difference here in favor of Wise being the better option. Now, of course, we have to also consider the number of currencies that they're offering, because some of the currencies may not be offered by Wise. I believe right now they have around 40 currencies, while Revolut actually has more, around 70, I believe. So if you need some more specific currencies, you might find them on Revolut as opposed to Wise. But again, most common ones are actually available on Wise. And we already saw in some of the examples over here that Wise actually wins in many times compared to Revolut when it comes to currency conversion. But one thing that's even worse for Revolut is actually the fact that on the weekend it will be even more expensive. Right now I'm doing this during the week, so it's a bit more apple to apple comparison. However, on the weekend, if we go back to Revolut on the plans, you will see over here the currency exchange without any additional fees only applies to Monday to Friday, as it shows very clearly over here. On the weekend, there's an additional markup of 1%. So basically, on top of the fees, if you're on the free plan, there will be an additional 1% FX conversion fee. That really then gets expensive, and that applies to every plan. Even if you're on a very expensive plan that I'm on right now, the Ultra plan, you're still gonna have that. So in this case, it's very clear that Wise will win on the weekend, hands down, because Wise, contrary to Revolut, does not have any weekend charges on top of it. It's very transparent. Any time of the week, you always get the mid-market rate. And what I really like about Wise also is the transparency. You can just scroll down, obviously see the historic chart over there, how the rate developed over time, just to keep in mind, is it now a good time or not a good time? You could even get daily updates over here. If you have an account, you get notified as soon, it hits a favorable exchange rate. There's even auto conversion. It hits a certain exchange rate that you like, it will automatically exchange your particular currency pair. So that's really cool. And then we'll come to this in a second, but it's obviously talking about also transparently how much it would cost sending money abroad. And even they list Revolut over here. So it's really nice how they compare themselves to others. And in this case, Revolut would be cheaper, but again, I'll touch on this in a second. But they also show here in this column over here, the exchange rate. You can see here, right now, they have the best across all of them, right? You can see quite a difference between Revolut. Even Remitly is much less. Skrill, I never heard about that. Starling Bank is less. MoneyGram is less, Moniz is also less, XE, which is, supposed to be a currency exchanger of choice, really quite a bad exchange rate. Barclays, of course, all the big banks are way worse. PayPal is an absolute ripoff. When you look at it, 4.7 versus 5.04. That's why I never liked PayPal. I mean, they just rip you off. So yeah, you can see here very transparently what are the various exchange rates. That's why in terms of exchange rate, honestly, Wise, I have to give it to them. They're really doing a stellar job, and I haven't been using them that much in the past. But now I can really see the more exchange, that will really start adding up. So definitely in terms of currency exchange, I will really start using Wise more, especially for larger amounts. We can clearly see the winner in this example is Wise. They're really doing an exceptional job, very transparent. They have really the best exchange rates you can get in the moment. And especially the fact that they don't charge you on top on the weekends, which is really a killer with Revolut. Wise clearly won the round and took the win for this one. But next up, let's compare how they differ by sending money internationally, because that can also get very expensive. Now, starting off, let's go back to Wise. In my case, I want to transfer some euros into UAE dirham. I will most likely in the future be converting some of the euros that I still have in my bank account in Europe and convert them to dirhams and then send them over here. So let's see how much that would cost me. Now, once again, they have a very nice calculator. You don't have to register or even open an account. You can see that very clearly on the Wise website. I like that, you know, it shouldn't be hidden until, you know, you finally make the transfer, you have money in your account. You can see right here, right then, if you like it or not, and then choose which one you want to go with. I want to send 5,000 euros, and you see here very transparently what they charge you. They have obviously a fee, our fee, which they say is now 33 euros, which seems a lot, but yeah, well, that's just how it is. And obviously all of the big players will charge you some kind of fee. So you can click on here and even change the transfer method if you wanted to charge. If you want to send by debit card or credit card, there will be an additional fee. So if I select that, you will see an additional fee on top, but we don't want to have that. So let's click on bank transfer over here. And then I can see basically that's going to be the fee of the bank transfer. And of course, I get the amazing exchange rate. And not only that, I can actually guarantee that rate if I like it and want to lock it in. If I send the money right now into the Wise account, I can lock it up to 102 hours. So it wouldn't be fluctuating. Let's say if I expect it to go down or what have you, I can really lock that rate in. And I can see very clearly how much the recipient, in this case me, in my UAE bank account will get. Because quite often what happened to me in the past, I need to make a transfer. They say, I need $2,000. You sending $2,000 the equivalent. But then with all the bank fees, the bad exchange rate, they only end up getting $1,900. So they say, where's my remaining balance? And here you can really clearly see how much you would have to send. Let's say I need to send exactly 20,000 dirhams. I need to receive it. Well, then that's how much I would have to send. So I quite like that you can do the calculation kind of the other way around. They also tell you very clearly when it should arrive. Friday will be next day. I'm recording right now on a Thursday. So literally 24 hours, less than 24 hours in many cases, the transfer period. So that's really cool. And I can click on to compare prices if I wanted to see more. I can see very clearly how much some other banks would be charging me and how much I would be paying more of. So there are two other players out there, which are technically powered by Wise, N26 and Bank. They would do their own transfer through Wise. I would basically be getting exactly the same 0.65 dirham difference. I mean, that's around, what is that, 15 cents. So really, let's consider the same. But yeah, if I use some of the other banks over here, CaixaBank Bank is a Spanish one, or once again, XE, you know, the difference would be quite stark. 285 dirhams less I would be getting. That's around 70 euros less I'll be getting with them, with some of those players, than I'll be getting by using Wise. But let's have a look how this compares with Revolut. Right, so also on Revolut, you can go on revolut.com/money transfer. And then here, it's also a nice calculator. Once again, you can run those numbers without signing up. That's really nice and transparent, and I really enjoyed it. So let's look up for euros over here. Where do we have our lovely euros? So it depends where you are. Obviously, different countries have different euros, even though it's pretty much the same. But I'm based between Lithuania and Dubai. So let's click Lithuania over here, which by the way is an amazing country. You should definitely visit sometime, especially in summer. It's amazing. Anyhow, and then I select my dirhams, and right away I can see the difference. 19,442 versus the 19,563. So more or less 120 dirhams less, which is around 30 euros. So that's quite a difference. Now that's obviously a combination of the transfer fees and the foreign exchange fees. We saw previously already that the foreign exchange fee was in favor of Wise, but here we also have the higher bank transfer fees, which is 47 euros and 50 cents as opposed to the 33 euros of Wise only. So once again, Wise really won in the lower fees compared to Revolut. However, as we saw before, also a big part comes from the conversion fees in Revolut, right? So let's go to a lower limit. So we are still within the free threshold. So here we choose 1,000 euros, convert to dirhams. All of a sudden, the bank transfer fees go to much less, to only €1.50. I won't have the additional exchange fee that they included previously. So now I'll be getting 3,919 dirhams. While with Wise, if I do the same, 1,000 euros into dirhams, I would get only 3,907 dirhams. So that's 12 dirhams less than I would be getting with Revolut. So that's the first time where we can see that actually Revolut won in this example. And that's where it gets a little bit confusing. I believe if you have smaller amounts, then Revolut might actually be the better option, especially if you send money internationally, if we compare the free to free plan. On larger amounts, if you compare both free plans without any pay plans from Revolut, then I think definitely Wise will be the better option. There's no doubt about it, because overall the fees will be less. And if you consider making a transfer on the weekend, which you shouldn't be doing because mostly the banks are closed anyways, the transaction will only go through on Monday to Friday. There's no point to exchange the money on the weekend and pay the Revolut premium. And in this case, Revolut would definitely be losing out big time. However, if you are like me and you are on the paid plan of Revolut, it gets a little bit less clear. Because once again, coming back to the paid plan overview of Revolut, as I said, I'm on the Ultra plan. So I basically get no extra charge on my currency conversion. So that's already much more attractive. So in this case, I might actually be better off than with Wise, as we've seen before on the lower price example. And also, as you see over here, save on international transfer fees. So on the free plan, you're going to pay the full fees that we saw over here, that you see on the calculator. On the Plus, there's no difference. On the premium, you start getting a discount on that. So on the fee, what you see, you'll be getting a 20% discount. On the metal, you'll be getting a 40% discount. On the ultra plan that I'm on, you'll be getting basically 0 fees on that. And yeah, as we saw before, on a 5,000 euro transfer, that can be 47 euros fee. So technically, by one big transfer, I already covered a whole month of having Revolut Ultra. So in this case, once again, it goes back to the question, how much do you actually exchange money and how much do you actually send money? If that's a significant amount, you can run those numbers for yourself, then really in this case, in my specific case, I'll be way better off with Revolut than with Wise, right? So I think as the amounts get larger, then it makes sense to upgrade to a Revolut paid plan, and then you'll be better off than with Wise. If you want to compare the free plans apple to apple, then in most cases you'll be better off with Wise. Still though, on the weekend, it's definitely not advisable to be using Revolut at all, even with your card, because you're going to incur the 1%. Even when you make any payments with your card in the different currencies, you're going to incur that 1% FX fee. So that will really start adding up. And in this case, you're really much better off with Wise. And they also have a debit card, which you can use if you're abroad. Use that, especially on the weekend, to avoid those pesky charges. Now, in terms of the overall app and experience, I really have to favor Revolut in this case. I think it's a much more complete app. There's so many different features. I'm getting good savings over there on my money. I have many perks like airport lounge access. I get a VPN as part of my paid plan. So once again, if you're on the paid plan, I think Revolut has so many better options. Even if you're on the free plan, I still like the overall aesthetic of the app, the analytics, that it categorizes my expenses right away much more than with Wise. If you purely look at getting the best exchange rate for your money and sending it internationally at low amounts on a monthly basis, let's say, I think in many cases you would be better off with Wise. However, myself, I most likely will be continuing using Revolut as my daily driver. I actually use my Revolut Ultra plan with my Revolut Pro card, where I get 1.2% cash back on every single transaction. So even if I use it on the weekend, which I always tell you not to do because you will incur a 1% foreign exchange fee, I still actually do it because I'll get 1.2% cash back. So even I'm charged 1%, so technically I'm still better off by 0.2%. However, if you're on any of the lower plans, definitely it doesn't make sense, or even if you don't use the Revolut Pro card at all, then definitely you will be losing out this way and you'll be much better off using the Wise card. I would strongly recommend have an account with both of them. Both of them have free plans where you basically just register, you don't pay anything. If you don't use it, that's it. There are not going to be any fees. But if you want to start using one or the other, it's very easy to transfer money in and then either exchange it, send it, whatever you have to. And before making any big transaction or sending any money, just go quickly online, compare the two and see which one works out better in your specific case. Because as I said, it really depends on many parameters, and maybe in the future Revolut will update their rates. So definitely always keep an eye. This is very dynamic and keeps on changing. But either way, I think both of them are great options. Personally, I'm going to be using both, mostly Revolut as my daily driver, but actually Wise has really a strong value proposition for larger amount. I will definitely consider them. And also Wise Business, I think is amazing. If you make a lot of business transactions and send money around for your business, I think Wise Business is an amazing tool. And if you want me to make a deep dive tutorial and review into Wise itself, then let me know in the comments down below. I'll be happy to do so. And to make matters even more confusing, if you're abroad and you want to take some money out of the ATM, then I would most likely recommend you to have a third card, which would be the Trade Republic card, because with this card you can take fee-free anywhere around the world. It has to be over 100 euros. So if you take 2, 3, 4, 500 euros at once, you're not going to be charged any fee. So if you take a lot of cash when you travel, then you want to be having the Trade Republic card just for that. And if you want to learn more about the Trade Republic card, then check out this video over here. I'm going to run you through what it is and how it actually works. If you made it until the end of the video, really appreciate you. As always, stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.